If you want somebody to read your marketing material, you have to grab their attention and then build on that. That's exactly what we're going to do in this video. We're going to be sharing with you how you can get people to read your content and get them to take action. So let's go to that video now. Okay, this is video number 5 in the series. If you've missed the previous videos, we'll put them below. This is Marketing 101 for accountants and bookkeepers. So check the links below if you've missed the first 5. And just like with the other 5, this video I'll be introducing our head of marketing, Emily Cross. And here comes Emily. Emily does our internal marketing, but she also works with accountants and bookkeeping firms around the world, helping them with their marketing. So we talked, Emily, in the last video a lot about copy, about words, why words are so important. We talked about the sort of words to have on your website. Let's now talk a little bit more about, with copywriting generally, about how do we grab attention. And this would apply whether you're writing a lead page, whether you're writing perhaps a sales page, you're perhaps writing an email, perhaps you're inviting people to a webinar and you're writing a copy for that. What we want to do is ultimately with all of our copy is we want people to take action and do something. And when we create copy, there are a number of different frameworks that we could use. So we're going to use Emily for this one. We're going to talk about the AIDA formula, which has been around for decades. It has. It's AIDA. And so let's start with the A first. The A stands for attention. Attention. We want to grab people's attention. And essentially, that's the headline. That's the headline of our blog post, the headline of our social post, that's the headline of our ebook, the headline of our email, whatever it might well be. Emily, why are headlines so critically important in our marketing?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the headline is used in so many different places. It could be the subject line of an email, which before they even see the content, the subject line has to get them to click to read more. It may be a YouTube video title, it may be the name of an ebook, and the purpose of the headline is to grab their attention or pique their curiosity enough that they click on the thing, or they read more of the email, or they download the ebook because they're intrigued and they want to learn more. So it's the first thing to get them intrigued into what it is you're trying to get them to do and grab their attention. So it's got to be powerful, and a lot of, if you need to put time and effort into coming up with a lot of people do a headline as an afterthought. They spend ages writing the copy and then they go, oh, well, here's the headline. But sometimes the headline is actually a lot more important than the main text. So we're going to look at some frameworks for doing that as well.
Absolutely. It is the most important bit, because if they don't read the headline, if I don't grab the attention, they won't read the rest of it. So a lot of things people say to me, a lot of accountants, a lot of bookkeepers say, I just don't know, I can't write copy, I can't write headlines. So I'm a big fan of frameworks, of having things where we can just fill in the blanks, for example. So let's look at a few headline frameworks. Emily, I think you've got a couple you want to share. What would they be?
Yes, so the first one that we use would be the benefit plus some form of curiosity to get them to click. So the benefit is, the thing that you're giving them, or whatever, a service, what is the benefit to them? And then you can put something to pique their curiosity. So the example might be grow your business with the 9 drivers of profit. So grow your business is the benefit, because that's what people want to do. They want to grow and get more clients. But the 9 drivers of profit, people might think, well, what's that about? I don't know what that is. I'm intrigued, and they might click. So that's the first example, is benefit plus curiosity. Another one, it's got 4 elements to it. So it's number, adjective, keyword, and promise. So it may be 10 simple steps that you can take today that will help you improve your cash flow. So the keyword is steps that you can take. You've got 10 simple is your number and adjective, 10 simple steps that you can take, and then the promise, it's going to improve your cash flow. So it's interesting, it's impactful. It shows them that 10 simple steps, they're going to be able to do something quite quickly. It's written out in a nice formatic way for them. And that's one of the kind of formats of the headline that you can use.
Absolutely. They are great formats. Let me give you a couple more. Probably arguably the simplest framework for a headline is the how-to headline. It's the easiest one. It's where I recommend you perhaps start when you are writing headlines. So, for example, how to avoid business failure with these 7 must-know strategies. So that's a how-to one. How to improve your cash flow, how to save tax, how to always works. So that's a really simple one. And one other one that you might want to consider as well is, which Emily's partly alluded to in that the second one she gave, is numbered lists are always powerful. People want to know the answer. So if you had one that said the 7 big pricing mistakes, then the reader is thinking in their mind, they're thinking, well, what are the 7? I need to know what those 7 things are. Numbered lists are great. So there's a few simple frameworks that you can use for creating your headlines. But if you are really struggling with writing headlines, because with copywriting is a skill. It takes years to master copywriting. We get better at copywriting just by writing. The more you write, the better that you get. The more that you follow these frameworks and come up with new ideas, you will get better at writing compelling headlines. But if you struggle with that, if you find it difficult writing copy, if you find it difficult writing headlines, then Emily, you have a top tip for people, haven't you?
Yeah, so in video 6, we're talking a lot about ChatGPT. So it's a great AI tool, and you can go and ask it. You can say, here's the content of what I'm talking about. Can you generate me a great headline? And you can say, can you give me 3 or 4 alternatives? And it will help you write a really great headline. You can ask it to make it SEO, efficient, search engine optimized as well, and it will just help you brainstorm a couple of ideas as well. So that's a great tool to help.
Very powerful. We use it all the time. Okay, so that's the A of AIDA. A is grabbing attention, which is, I think, is the most important step, because if you don't grab the attention, they won't read the rest of it. So let's now look at what I, D, and A stand for. So I is interest, and what that means is that once you've grabbed their attention with a headline, they want to read on. The next thing they read is the opening sentence, the opening paragraph. And what we want to do is build interest. We really build on what we've started in the headline. And so there are a number of frameworks and techniques we can use for that. One of the things that I like to do is keep the first sentence really short. Very short sometimes. I know, Emily, you talked about I think it was the last video, you talked about one of the copywriting tips is to use short sentences, short paragraphs. If you have a long paragraph, it's really off-putting. If somebody's had their attention grabbed and then they open up your email and the first paragraph is 10 lines long, it's overwhelming and they'll think, oh, I can't be bothered to read that. So we want to build interest with our opening sentence and paragraph. The whole purpose, the entire purpose of that first sentence is to get people to want to read the second sentence. The first sentence is really, really important. Just like headlines are really important for grabbing attention, then building their interest with that first sentence, that first paragraph is critical. So Emily, I think you've got a couple of tips on that, have you?
Yeah, I mean, well, carrying on that theme of creating curiosity to encourage them to keep reading. So you want curiosity in your headline, and then you want an element of curiosity in your text so that they continue to read. So one of the things that you can do is what we call opening a loop, which means you'll say something at the start and then you'll not really finish that thought. You'll say something and say, but let me tell you about this other thing first, and then I'll come back to that. So it gets them intrigued enough to want to finish that idea, but they have to read through the rest of it to get to it. So that's something you might do, called opening a loop and closing a loop. And then another tip is to, if you feel able, or you can use a tool like ChatGPT to write in a more of a storytelling format. So not necessarily like, fairy tales or anything crazy like that, but just, telling, I did this thing, or we did this thing, or have you ever felt like this, or this thing happened to me and it made me realize this and it changed my life. And you write it in a sense where it's a story and somebody's going on a journey, and that's a lot more interesting to read, and it's more engaging as well. So just a couple of tips.
Okay, great. Some great tips there. So that's the I of the AIDA: grab attention, then build their interest. The next thing we want to do is the D, which is to create desire. And so there's a number of things here that we can do to create desire and get people want to read your copy and they're starting to create this desire to work with you. And so there's a number of things we can do. Emily, what might be a couple of examples?
Yeah, so I mentioned in a different video about the hero story, about giving them, showing where you were before and where you got to afterwards. And that middle bit, which is the process you went through, is where the desire is. So they're going to desire that bridge that got you to there. That is your own personal testimonial. And the other way is to get testimonials from your clients by getting them to do a similar kind of story. I was here, I worked with so-and-so, and they helped me get to here. And coming from their mouths is much more powerful than it is when you say, I did this and I did that. If somebody else said, I worked with them and they were great, that's got a lot more credential to it. It's got more credibility to it because they are in the same position that you would be if you went and worked with them. And if they say you're great to work with, then that's a really great thing. And if they say, I managed to save X amount of money, then you think, oh, that's amazing. And it creates that desire for them to want to work with you as well. There's also this element of social proof, which is if we see that lots of other people are having a great experience with you, then it probably means you're pretty good. If everybody was having a terrible experience, you went on someone's Google reviews and they said 1 star, they're rubbish, don't work with them, then you're going to listen to the hive, you're going to listen to everybody, what they're saying. So if you've got lots of really great testimonials or case studies, especially with numbers to say I got from here to here, then that's a really powerful way of making people desire what you have to offer to get them to have that same journey as well and the same outcome.
Great. And I can't underestimate understress the power of case studies and success stories. Probably a subject for another day, but you should become obsessed with collecting case studies whenever you create some value and get a result for your clients, and you want to reuse them in your marketing. And Emily also mentioned the origin story, which we touched on in one of the previous videos. And I mentioned in, I think it was the last video, my particular story I tell at the start of webinars, which is I started my accounting firm back in 1996. For 2.5 years, I made crazy mistakes. I was in a terrible place, working crazy long hours, not making enough money. I discovered value pricing. I changed some things, put some pricing systems in place. My results changed very significantly. I then sold my accounting firm. And what happens is when I tell that story, it creates desire, because very often the people I'm speaking to on a webinar are also like me, running an accounting firm, working crazy hours, not making enough money, and they want to know what is it that I did to get better results. It creates that desire. Okay, let's move on to the fourth piece, which is the second A. AIDA is the AIDA formula. So we've got attention, interest, desire. The fourth one is call to action. We need to make sure that whenever you create any marketing, whether it's writing an ebook, creating a landing page, writing a blog post, a social media post, whatever it might well be, you should always have in mind what is the next step that you want somebody to take. You must always tell people what they need to do next. It's called the call to action. So Emily, very quickly then, give us a couple of examples of what might be a suitable call to action.
Yeah, so common one, it might be to book an appointment with you, book your first appointment. If you have a community like a Facebook group, it might be that you want them to join that community. If you're, we looked earlier at lead generation systems. If you have something to give away, an ebook or a free webinar or a series, and you want them to put their name in to sign up for that, then it might be that. That's a couple of examples.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. We're going to be, I think in the next video, you're going to be coming back. We're going to be talking about ChatGPT. But first, let me just, a couple of things before we just wrap up. If you've had some value from this, if you've got a tip up from this, put in the comments box, what's the best tip you've got? What's the thing that you've learned that you think, yes, I'm going to implement that? Let us know in the comments box. If you have any questions, then by all means ask in the comments box. Also, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. And if you hit that bell notification, you'll get notifications when we create new videos. We've also put below in the description, you'll see some links to some free resources if you've not grabbed them yet. Also the links to the previous 4 videos in the series. And video number 6 in this series is we're going to share with you some tips, some ideas on how you can save hours of time and create better marketing using a really powerful piece of AI, which is called ChatGPT. I'm sure you've heard of it. We've mentioned it a few times. We're going to go much deeper on that in the next video. Emily and I will see you then. Bye for now.